Moreover, President Ronald Reagan, who suffered from skin cancer and had several operations to remove cancerous lesions from his face, became a strong supporter of the protocol. United States chemical companies as DuPont soon expanded their manufactures of hydrochlorofluorocarbons, modest-cost alternatives to chlorofluorocarbons. In contrast, the Kyoto Protocol served the self-interests of few, if any, major world powers. On March 13, 2001, less than 2 months after he was sworn into office, President George W. Bush declared that he opposed the Kyoto Protocol because it would cause serious harm to the U.S. economy. Sovereign states must perceive a treaty as being fair to all parties. The Law of the Sea Convention established uniform rules for territorial claims. The Montreal Protocol set standard limits to production and consumption of ozone-depleting substances, although it allotted developing states more time to meet these limits. The Kyoto Protocol, however, placed the burdens of compliance entirely on developed states, while it offered developing states financial benefits with few obligations. Differences between the Montreal and Kyoto Protocols in their treatment of developing states derived in part from the manner of the initial negotiations. Many of the negotiations for the Montreal Protocol were restricted to the major producers of ozone-depleting substances. Negotiations for the Kyoto Protocol, on the contrary, included representatives from most sovereign states, a situation where the interests of the more numerous developing states easily overwhelmed those of developed states like the United States. Compliance and enforcement of the three treaties are highly disparate. Incidents of noncompliance with the Law of the Sea Convention, because they usually involve territorial rights, can quickly escalate. The treaty, therefore, provided a mechanism for states to avoid armed conflict. Enforcement of the Montreal and Kyoto Protocols emphasized carrot over stick, providing incentives for compliance rather than sanctions for noncompliance. Incentives in the Montreal Protocol were adequate to compensate for abandoning ozone-depleting substances, particularly when alternative substances were available at modest cost, whereas incentives for the Kyoto Protocol did not begin to compensate for the cost of mitigating greenhouse gas emissions. In both the Montreal and Kyoto Protocols, sanctions for noncompliance are relatively toothless, in that they do not compel states to honor their commitments. For example, the Russian Federation, a party to the Montreal Protocol, has been cited repeatedly for its production of ozone-depleting substances. Similarly, Canada openly admits that it is unlikely to meet its commitments under the Kyoto Protocol for greenhouse gas emissions.